I've talked about Big Brother before. Here we are again. Big Brother Canada, where usually it's pretty much controversy free, but nope, it's 2020, so everything has to go all controversial. Now, I don't know how I feel about this. So Jamar gets thrown out. He's ejected. Kyle got ejected as well. So Jamar gets thrown out for whatever happened during the house meeting. House meetings are bad. When they call house meetings, honestly, production should step in and go, how about we don't do this? But production loves to have a big dramatic scene. And this is where, and I talked about this with the American one, we're going to talk about this with the Canadian one. You have to know the personalities you're throwing in the house are volatile, and the likelihood of this kind of a thing happening goes up. And I do wonder about, again, we talked about the vetting with the American one. I'm not going to let the Canadian one off the hook. So there's a GoFundMe going on for Jamar, who got thrown out because fans that were watching didn't think it was fair. They did not feel that Jamar, who apparently made some kind of a threatening gesture towards Kyle, which could have been this, could have been one of these, could have been something along the lines of something to physically intimidate him, that they said, all right, you're done. And of course, this is because over the years, we've seen instances, usually in the American Big Brother, where something escalates and they have to get somebody removed from the house. And then Kyle gets removed, and the way that Arissa, who's the host, puts it is that it was a pattern of behavior over the season. This could be a lot of things. Was it something about him towards women? Was it something about him towards people of minorities? Because what's being speculated on is that it was the way he was treating people who aren't white. And we don't know. They didn't say. And this is where, if you're going to remove him from the house, honestly, for the viewers, it's important to tell them why. So what this does is it takes two of the more volatile personalities out of the house. I've seen people on Twitter saying that means that they're not going to bother to watch the live feeds anymore. That, all right, well, thanks, you gave us an out. We're done. I don't like that idea either, though. I get it, but again, it looks like the Canadian cast is young and very attractive, and it seems like those are the two things that they keyed on the most. Is that they're buff guys and really good looking girls, and most of them are very young. And it feels like it's even more so than on the American side. And I know on the American side there's often a lean towards the really good looking people, and I get that. But it feels like on the Canadian side it's even more so. Now I will say this: I find myself kind of cheering for Riel because Rianne, sorry, she's from Chetwynd, and I have friends that are from Chetwynd, so I'm like, that's such a small town. And I know that 20, 25 years ago, friends of mine were saying, I said something about Chetwynd, and most of my friends would say, and I joked about moving there, and they said, well, you realize guys outnumber girls there by a lot, so the odds of you finding a girlfriend there are way worse than here. So it's not the reason I didn't move. There was also the fact that it's like minus 160 degrees Celsius at most months of the year. It's cold up there. You're hardy people if you're up in Chetwynd. I tell you, that's a cold part of the province. Even by Canadian standards, it's a no for me. But yeah, so she's the one I'm hoping ends up winning it, to be honest. And we'll see how far that goes, because it looks like she's still on her way out the door. But with the ejections that are going on, and with the fact that they had just told the people in the house about what was going on outside, you can understand if people might be a little bit upset and a little bit, distracted. And again, people who watch the live feed seem to be happy about Kyle being out, not happy about Jamar. And there's some speculation that they may have got rid of Kyle because of what happened with the American production and the fact that they didn't get rid of, Jack during all of that was going on with the American show during the summer. So I don't know how much truth there is to any of it, because they're not telling us much other than we made the right decision. Trust us. No. Tell us why. What pattern of behavior. And then when they do the reunion episode, does this mean these guys aren't going to be on there? Like, again, things get a little bit messed up. Last night, Yvonne and I watched the second to last episode of The Circle, where they're in the apartment building. So we're up to the semi-finale where they leave the house, and then we find out, I guess, in the finale who won. And it is again, it's an interesting show. I do find it fascinating that the people who are first in the house, so the first group that's in the house, they do form this really nice bond with one another. And while there's some mistrust among them, they generally, when it comes to who they're going to vote out, they tend to vote out the new people. So they have their group that they form, and then anybody new that comes in, they don't really penetrate that group. So I think that's a fascinating. It's definitely a social experiment that's kind of awesome because yeah, there is something to that. I've definitely been at workplaces where somebody who's brand new comes in and they're like, man, there's all these cliques around here. I don't fit in with anybody, and it's like, yeah, there are cliques, and I would experience that too. Where even though I had been at my former job for 10 years, there were people who'd been there longer, and there were certain situations where I definitely felt like I was an outsider because, I hadn't been there quite as long as some of the others. So, it is something that happens in various places, and it's interesting that even in a virtual world, this still happens where people bond with an avatar and words on the screen. I'd be interested to see a version of the circle where you have an AI in there. So just an AI giving answers that it thinks people wants, and see how quickly people find out I don't think that's a real person on the other end. I'd be fascinated in seeing that too, because I think that could be really interesting to see just how far an artificial intelligence could go on something like that and how long it could fool people. But what's up for me for tonight? So I've been doing my treadmill workout, which I do every day for about 40-45 minutes. Been doing it in the evening because there's no hockey on. So let's next up for me is Legends of Tomorrow. I have not watched this week's episode yet, which is where they apparently meet Shakespeare and all this other wonderful stuff. So I'll be watching that tonight while I'm on my treadmill and doing my 4 miles of running. I do that every day. I've got my phone in my pocket while I do it. Sometimes it counts my steps correctly and sometimes it doesn't. And it can be a difference of thousands of steps. So that's frustrating. It's frustrating when I get off of there and I'm like, oh, it says I've only burned 200 calories today. Well, up yours too. So I hate the steppers, I do, but they're good to have. It does keep me honest. To really, frankly, it does. Where I'll look at my stepper and I'll go, yeah, I haven't done very much today, have I? So it's good to have that, and it's something that since I started losing weight in I want to say July, that I've kept up on. So even though mine's kind of plateaued and I haven't really lost much, if anything, over the last couple of months, I'm still doing the treadmill. I'm not eating the stuff I was eating before. Really, it's chips. Just stay away from potato chips. That is it. Because potato chips, you can eat a whole bag. Nachos too. You eat a whole bag and you go, okay, A, I just ate 1,200 calories, and B, I'm still hungry. I'm a horrible person. So that's what I avoid. That's what I stay away from. And so I'll watch Legends when I'm on this. And if there's still time, and if Yvonne's doing other things, she's planning on making some masks. So you'll see that right now what's going on in various parts of the world is that masks are being asked for. She's making masks for people that we know, and I think the plan is as well to make them for the local hospital as well. So that's kind of, I talked about this in a hockey video today where there are instances where we're trying to do our part to help out, and making masks is almost the least you can do, almost, because again, and you'll hear contrarian opinions on this, and it's not a good idea, and if you don't think you're sick, no, it's just one of the things that's been said is everybody should act like they have this. So that's what we're doing. We act like we are already have it. We're already in that situation. That's why we've been self-isolating for over a week. Just act like you've got it and just go from there. And we'll wait. I did see a really, really funny, if you haven't seen it, do by all means check it out, the video of Simon Pegg doing the whole Shaun of the Dead bit, where they're on the phone and they're talking about what they're going to do. And they're going to go to the Winchester and wait for it all to blow over. And Simon Pegg's like, but the Winchester's closed, so we can't go there. And, we really should just stay home and lay low and wait for it to blow over. It's really, really entertaining. And I'm impressed with what has been going on. So while there's still talk about Gal Gadot and friends doing their Imagine song, which didn't go over too well, and I get why it didn't. I can see both sides in this. I can see there being a group of celebrities saying, we need to let people know we're all in this together, and that is, we need to have like a feel good moment. But imagine, really, and it's a song that we truck out all the time, and I sometimes think, people need to sit down with the lyrics and really go over each line and what it means, because I don't think they're using the song the way that John Lennon intended it, and it doesn't make people feel better that are going through this kind of thing. If you're a nurse right now, you're not going to watch that and you go, oh, I feel better now. I'm off to work, hoping I have a mask tonight. So, yeah, it tough times indeed, but we'll get through. And there's always something on television that's not news. Remember, there's always something on TV that's not news. My recommendation, I talked about this on the other channel as well, I'll talk about it here. My recommendation is watch the news for like an hour, and time it, because we have 24-hour news. So watch the news for maybe an hour and make that your max. If after 10 minutes you go, and that's enough, then there's nothing wrong with that. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. Don't feel bad. Just make sure you're doing your part, and we'll get by. We'll get through. And yes, for people who are wondering, yes, there will be another reading from Into the Void tonight. That also is on the menu for this evening. The view counts have been low. That's fine. If 300 people are using that right now to top off their day, okay, then that's 300 people I'm reading to. Don't have a problem with that at all. And it does actually have the mind going for me as to how I could potentially get back into writing novels, what I could write. I'm never going to write, if anybody's wondering, I'm never going to write a life story. That's not going to happen. I'm never going to sit down and write a whole, here's my life from start to finish. Hopefully not finish, but you know what I mean. And I'm not, I'm far more, I really enjoy the fiction side of things. So I'm far more likely to write something that's fiction. And I am going to read Run as well. So once I'm done this, we'll get into Run, because I really enjoy the book Run. Of all the books I've written, Run is probably my favorite, to be completely honest. Although part 5 of Into the Void, which is called Violation, that one's pretty intense as well. I really enjoyed it. Although with Violation, I wasn't entirely happy with how I ended it. I kind of, when I finished it, went, well, it's an end. And then I kind of sort of walked away. I'm trying to think of which author it was that said, and I think it may have been George Lucas who said, you never finish a project, you just walk away from it, kind of thing. Like it's just done. So you just have to go, okay, that's as close as I can get to making what I want. So there you go. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, as always, especially if you're a Big Brother fan and you've been watching the Big Brother Canada. I've watched 4 episodes in the last 24 hours just to get myself up to date on everything that's going on. And I because they cut everything off, I don't understand how we get to the point where somebody has to be removed from the house, much less 2. So this is where the editing comes in. And this is where the editing drives me nuts. If there was something going on with Kyle that was problematic and meant he had to be removed, they were editing it out when they showed the replays on TV. When they're editing down for television, they were editing that stuff out, or I don't see it. So you guys can let me know in the comment section, like I said, what was seen on the live feeds that was that alarming. And yeah, hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. I intend to do these as often as I can, sort of news of the day, sort of like I was doing on the hockey channel up until, well, about a week ago. And hey, thank you guys so much for watching, for all your support. I will continue to be here as long as you guys are out there watching. I will talk to you again soon.